guys ever just say something in a crowded room and it's the wrong thing, but it's something personal, meaningful to you as the individual, and you just want to get it off your chest? And suddenly everyone and their mother is up your ass about it.
Weebo, that's not very nice of you. Weebo, that's insensitive. Weebo, you're supposed to be a good role model, Weebo. How are we supposed to trust you with the children when you make up things like worthless, gibbling fuck nugget of a bitch-sucking, window-looking, turd-sniffing guppy? Or shibbity giblets frickle freckle.
Process begin. So, Contrapoints did an oopsie. And it's not just for her take on Dave Chappelle's comedy special on Netflix called Sticks and Stones, although she has every right to be entirely wrong in her opinion of that. No. Today, we are adding on to the series on this channel I have so affectionately dubbed War of the Queers, which you can find linked in the playlist found in the top corner of this video, if post-video rendering Weebo remembers to do that. Hopefully she does, but if she doesn't, cut her some slack. It's been a long week. So the War of the Queers series is a series entirely dedicated to documenting the infighting within the LGBT community, of which there is quite a lot. Hence why there's a series. The purpose of which is my own entertainment, of course. That's all everything on this channel is ever really about when you boil everything down to it. But more than that, it's easy content fodder, I guess you could say. And lastly, it's a gateway into the very legitimate reality of this so-called in-group supposedly united based upon their truncated anecdotal woes. However, when all that truly unites you as a group is a string of letters, an acronym if you will, that ebbs and flows per the day, it would be a crime against comedy not to take this opportunity to poke a little fun. Our story begins, as all the best shitstorms tend to do, with a Twitter thread. I'm friends with a lot of Gen Z trans people, and I'm often grouped in with them because I'm very online and transitioned not that long ago. But my experience is very different. I'm not a vanguard Zoomer tran. I sometimes feel like the last of the old school transsexuals. But now, you go into these leftist Discord Facebook groups, and like 20 to 30% identify as some flavor of trans. Most of them are not conventional binary transsexuals. That seems to be the future. But I also understand why a lot of trans people who just want to blend in are frustrated with the new visibility and with the radicals. I'm feeling fearful myself about the future of trans acceptance, and I understand the desire to be invisible, tolerated, safe. This has happened to me before in hyperwoke spaces. Like it's me and a bunch of cis women, and we all have to go in a circle saying she, her, because I'm there. There's this paradox where I can go to a sports bar in North Carolina and be Miss Ma'am all night, no question. But in self-consciously trans-inclusive spaces, I have to explain my pronouns and watch woke people awkwardly correct themselves every time they say you guys. Oh, you mean like this?
Chapter pronouns.
Privilege. Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
I guess it's good for people who use they, them only and want only gender-neutral language, but it comes at the minor expense of semi-passable transes like me, and that's super fucking hard for us. So, essentially what we have here is Contra voicing some opinions on situations that she personally has some woes with regards to. I believe that is called lived experiences, and they are rather important for minorities. But who knew? Who knew indeed that voicing one's opinion on the internet could result in such vitriolic pushback, and by the very people who are indecisive if they want to identify as an innie or an outie that day, so they just opt for neither. simply. Because committing to a single identity would just be a disaster, honestly. So we've shoved all of the identities into a single nutcase. I am, of course, talking about the NBs, the non-binaries, who you would have thought from their reactions had the unique experience of being pushed under the bus by none other than Contrapoints personally this harrowing day of days. It's also, by chance, a personal affront unto anyone who doesn't have the capability to pass as the gender they identify as. And of all the people who were in fact genuinely unaffected by the words spoken on the internet, this is an example of someone who has been the least affected by Contrapoints' Twitter threads, who's so unaffected by this talk of pronouns that they just opt to use them, they, out of pure spite to own the Contrapoints, much like a wild hunter Avalon on the internet in his natural habitat using Zer to own the libs. Let's bask in the glory of the irony of this tweet, why don't we? Ladies and gentlemen, remember we're talking about Natalie's lived experiences here and how she feels about those experiences, so of course, someone's gotta have opinion on how they feel about someone else's feelings about a lived experience. I still love you and your work. It just feels shitty hearing that you feel hurt by the only possible way that I and many other non-binary, non-passing people can safely be addressed to by our real identities in everyday life. I think you should really examine why you feel that way. Fam, maybe you should examine why you feel shitty about Contra feeling shitty about situations that are beyond her control, which is entirely beyond your control. Savvy? Is all entirely too cyclical to be comfortable for my entirely contrarian brain, ladies and gentlemen, but we will endure. Non-binary people are fewer in number than you. Our gender is regarded as non-existent even by binary trans men and trans women, and you genuinely think we have it better than you? Thank you for reminding me to never want being rich and famous. Honestly, that's a bit of a head scratcher, I'm not gonna lie, for me guys. If non-binary means the lack of a gender, then it shouldn't be a problem to have your non-binary status regarded as non-existent?
Many trans people, especially NB and GNC trans people, will never be able to walk into a sports bar in NC and have little to no issue with people using the correct pronouns. The push for more inclusive and gender-neutral language is largely for our benefit.
Yes, I'm sure Contrapoints, or anyone for that matter, will carry on from now on with their newfound awareness of the blight of all 12 of you gender nonconformists. Actually, come to think of it, Contra might. The rest of us probably won't, but it was a fun thought experiment, and as if the crazy couldn't get any more sad, pathetic, lonely, and disappointing, you'd be wrong, because this whole situation is, in fact, a right-wing psyop, don't you know? In fact, Contra is a serial alt-right painterer, don't you know? In fact, Contrapoints is so far gone that she has internalized transphobia, don't you know? The absolute state of things, I tell ya. Contra, that goddamned cis bootlicker. And I thought the race traders had it bad. You ain't seen nothing yet, ladies and gents.
Hello, Contrapoint. From one passing trans woman to another, I think you should sit the fuck down and also shut the fuck about non-binary people. It is not our place, as binary trans people, to police those who do not fit into the binary. Shut up.
Whoa there, Alex. Let's just calm down there and not get too aggressive now. One might think that, we need to double check you on your pronouns there with such oppressive language. People are treating this as the left eating itself, but that's not true. Contra is a liberal, not a leftist. Those are two different things. It's also not cancel culture to criticize someone for bad behavior and statements that are dangerous because of her influence. Hold on. I have questions. First, if her statements are so dangerous, why did you repost screenshots of them to the tweet about how dangerous they are? Second, what is the difference between a liberal and a leftist? I get my political labels so confused all the time since they've become so convoluted and independently defined based on the planetary alignment of the day and your particular star sign. And third, what bad behavior is there that isn't covered by the dangerous statements clarifier? For my own reference, I'm not really familiar with Contrapoints. I only know of her in two instances, both recently. I feel like you're just being redundant at this point. get a private account or reread your own tweets to word it better. You have 250,000 followers. What you say has actual effect on people. You know, Contrapoints. May I call you Natalie? Alright, Natalie. I do believe there is a saying colloquially referred to that one could make use of in situations such as these. It's something with stakes, and I just...
But I think that Dave Chappelle talking about trans people is not Dave Chappelle at his finest. And he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's kind of stuck at this very basic level that he can't get past. And you know, he could just not do the trans jokes because he obviously doesn't really have anything very incisive to say about it.
No, Natalie, we are not talking about Dave Chappelle.
And so it's actually, I'm just sort of embarrassed for him, watching him rehash the same old, like, I identify as Asian. Like, oh, Ricky Gervais on stage in 2015 just did I identify as a chimp. Like,
Natalie, someone might think you were calling Dave Chappelle a chimp, and you know how the racists get. They just love making that association to black people in the most mundane of unconnected instances. I don't get it, but here we are. All right? It's a no-no. Don't do that. Stop it.
How many hack comedians have already gotten up on stage to do the I identify as something wacky joke about trans people? Like, everyone's doing that. They've been doing it for years. And so, you know, I think if this were any other joke, if it was not transphobic, we would accuse the comedians doing it now of stealing it because it's not a new joke.
All right. Natalie, I think we should just leave the Dave Chappelle criticisms right there. It doesn't matter. It has absolutely nothing to do with what it is we're talking about here. They have absolutely nothing to do with the topic at all. Not a single parallel can be drawn in this instance. Stop wasting the people's time, please. I thought you had better decorum and better awareness when it came to the audience's interest. Let's end this on a high note, all right? If you're so devastated by me being ugly, then pay for my plastic surgery, bitch. Why does not passing have to equal ugly? All right.